Debt cannot be wiped away. It just ends up getting transferred to others.
Like, do they want us all, like, broke and in jail or dead?
What?
He's going to force us to start paying back our student loans.
This is going to hurt the people that are already struggling the most.
If they start taking additional money out of my paycheck, I just won't work. My life will not get worse. That doesn't exist anymore. There's no jobs out there with pension plans. There's no jobs out there that let people my age just like buy a house.
I work, but I'll never be able to afford anything. Yeah, probably not with that attitude.
Because whoever is making these decisions clearly does not care about American people or citizens at all.
We have the choice to do something to improve our lives or make our lives worse, and that choice is ours.
The boomers should have their goddamn retirement accounts and social security checks garnished for forcing college onto us, forcing us to take unsustainable loans.
These are the same people who are crying about Granny's social security, and now they're saying that Grandma's social security needs to pay for their student loans. Hey guys, it's Angela. In this video, we're going to be analyzing people who are freaking out because the Trump administration just announced that they will resume collections for federal student loan borrowers who have defaulted on their debt. Would you please make sure that you are subscribed to my channel so you can continue to get all of the updates? First, let's hear directly from the White House to make sure that we aren't getting anything confused.
In other news, the Trump administration has announced we will put an end to Joe Biden's illegal student loan bailout attempts.
Illegal.
No student loan
That's
has
awesome.
been referred to collection since March of 2020. That comes to an end. On May 5th, the Department of Education will resume involuntary collections for borrowers with defaulted federal student loans. The student loan portfolio controlled by the federal government is nearly $1.6 trillion.
Jeez.
But fewer than 4 out of 10 borrowers are in repayment. This is unsustainable, unfair, and a huge liability for American taxpayers. Debt cannot be wiped away. It just ends up getting transferred to others. So why should Americans who didn't go to college or went to college and responsibly paid back their loans pay for the student loans of other Americans? The Trump administration will never force taxpayers to pay student loan debts that don't belong to them. Student loan borrowers need clarity, and we're finally giving it to them. Borrowers will now be clearly expected to repay their loans, and those who default on their loan obligations will face involuntary collections. The government can and will collect defaulted federal student loan debt by withholding money from borrowers, tax refunds, federal pensions, and even their wages. America is $36 trillion in debt. We must get our fiscal house in order and restore common sense to our country.
Restoring common sense. I absolutely love it. And honestly, it just makes logical sense because if you decided to go to college and you decided to take out a loan, that was a risk that you were willing to take, and you're expected to pay that back. And people no longer have COVID as an excuse anymore. And thank goodness that Joe Biden is not in office and trying to destroy our country any longer. This septum-pierced individual is clearly distraught.
Well, they just dropped the student loan bomb. The federal government just announced that it's coming for your loans, and collections begin May 5th. If you're in default, they can garnish your wages, they can take your tax return, and they can even take like your benefits like Social Security. And if you still can't pay it and you default, they're gonna send you to collections.
That's what happens when you don't pay back your debt.
This is gonna hurt the people that are already struggling the most. They are really just trying to absolutely cripple as many people as fucking possible at this point.
What?
It's pretty clear they want us completely broke. They don't give a fuck about our health. They don't really give a shit.
You went to college from the loan, so it's not like they don't want you to have a good job. I mean, what you did after that is up to you.
Yeah, they're just gonna cut everything. This really just paves the path for so much more bullshit. I just realized that's about the same amount of people that have been at the protests. Interesting.
What?
Well, see you guys May 1st. That's the next one.
Yeah. Yeah, because those protests are a real big success. There's no change. If anything, all that it is doing is allowing these crazy people to network and spend time with each other and find other crazy people in their community. But they're not accomplishing anything. In fact, all of these protests, all they're doing is just kind of embarrassing people and revealing how ignorant they are on the many topics that they protest, and just how unable they are to take accountability for anything in their life. They scream and shout about how the world needs needs to be changed, but yet they won't do the first thing in changing themselves or improving themselves. It's crazy that this lady thinks that it's ridiculous that people have to pay back their loans. What other loan do people get that you could just completely forget and have zero consequences? Imagine buying a car for $60,000 and then you don't pay anything on it. Do you think that you're going to keep that car? Or if you did the same thing to a house, do you think that you're going to keep the house? It doesn't make any sense why people can just get a free pass for the hundreds of thousands of dollars that they spent to go to university. Let's see, maybe this is one of the borrowers.
I'm sorry, but if they start garnishing our wages for student loans, we are actually...
You should be garnishing your own wage to pay off your loan. So it's like the government at that point is helping you allocate your money better to pay off your debt so that you can have freedom, but you can't just leave it there. It's not going to disappear.
Like, do they want us all like broke and in jail or dead?
What?
Student loan.
Do they want us all broke or in jail? What are you even talking about? Maybe you're the one who wanted to make yourself broke when you decided to take out a $200,000 loan to study gender studies. That's your own doing, bud. I just think that in many ways, college is a pretty big scam. Not for all professions, of course. Many of them are a necessity. However, life choices, live and learn.
So today, Trump started talking about how he's going to force us to start paying back our student loans.
It's just so funny how much energy he has going into this video. So today, Trump said that we have to finally take some accountability for our lives. It's so sad.
And a lot of conservatives are really happy about that. They're saying, oh, thank God, all these freeloaders are going to pay back the money that they borrowed. Well, let me tell you something. I didn't borrow a goddamn dime. I was 17 years old. My mother forced me to take out that loan. And if I didn't, she was going to throw me out and make me homeless. So I'm not alone in this. I know that many, many children were put in the same situation.
That sucks. I mean, honestly, it does. And still, it is your loan. I mean, if it's in your name, it's your responsibility. I was fortunate that when I was preparing to go to college and I told my parents that I wanted to go to study psychology, my dad told me to rethink it and realize that I could also have a good life without going to college. And so some people are just fortunate because their parents led them in a different path, or some people inherit wealth, or all kinds of things. But we all start somewhere, and I don't think it's going to help you get anywhere if you just forget about your loan and never pay it back.
And the solution's simple. We should not have our wages garnished. The boomers should have their goddamn retirement accounts and Social Security checks garnished for forcing college onto us, forcing us to take unsustainable loans. It's just screwed up. Student loan forgiveness is the...
I mean, at 17 years old, you're almost an adult at that point too. And if your mom said, okay, you have to go to college or else you're going to be homeless, then maybe you should have just been like, okay, well, I'm going to start working and then afford rent or something. I mean, at 17, you were also able to make some life decisions. And of course, the pressure from your parents can be difficult, but I don't know. We all end up having to take responsibility of our teenage years as well.
And the boomers aren't going to give it to us, so we need to go after their money.
What are you talking
today,
about? These are the same people who are crying about Granny's Social Security, and now they're saying that Grandma's Social Security needs to pay for their student loans? That's really convenient.
I'm not paying back my student loans. I do not care. Oh, but what about your credit score? What am I going to do with a good credit score? Buy a house on starvation wages? Buy a car I can't afford to insure? I'm not paying them back. I don't give a shit about my credit score.
Imagine being this upset about living in America.
Oh, they're going to garnish your wages. Most of us are underemployed. If they start taking additional money out of my paycheck, I just won't work. My life will not get worse.
Oh, great.
I'm not going to have the money anyway.
So instead of repaying your loan, instead of finding good employment, being able to repay your loan and also be able to afford a house and all of those wonderful things, instead you're just going to say, oh, well, I'm just going to be unemployed then. That'll really show them. No, it's not.
You can't garnish what isn't there. I grew up in a far-right, conservative, hardcore Republican family. And since like kindergarten, I have been conditioned to believe that if I did not go to college, I would not be successful. I was told that if I locked in, got great grades in high school, got into college, focused, and got my degree, that I would have a life similar to the life my parents had, where my dad worked one job.
Wait a second. These are the same people that are calling conservatives so incompetent because many of them who didn't go to college voted for Donald Trump. And that apparently makes them unintelligent. But the truth is that you don't need to go to college to get an education. What you go to college for is for the piece of paper or to put it on your resume. Or if you have a very niche specialty that requires higher education. But for many other things, the knowledge is out there in books, especially nowadays. We have YouTube. I mean, you can literally learn everything from YouTube or with AI now. It's just completely changing the game. So I feel bad for the many, many people who believed that it was necessary to go to college to have a good life. But you can't just erase it, though. You have to repay it.
For like 35 years, was able to buy a house and go on vacation and support his family. That doesn't exist anymore. There's no jobs out there with pension plans. There's no jobs out there that let people my age just like buy a house. So what was all that work for?
Then how is it that we drive on the streets and there's houses everywhere? Just like so many single family homes from sea to shining sea. Seriously. I mean, and if your state is too expensive, you can move to a cheaper state like Kansas or Idaho or Indiana. I mean, we have so many options as Americans. And so I understand that there seems to be a housing crisis because it's so much more expensive for the younger generation than it was for our parents. They were able to buy houses for $100,000 and now they're worth $600,000, $700,000, like $1 million in some cases. And so I get it, but it's just kind of the cards that we were given and we just kind of have to learn how to go with it. But if you're just going to sit here and complain about everything, then of course you're not going to be able to accomplish anything. You're saying, oh, well, I work, but I'll never be able to afford anything. Yeah, probably not with that attitude. Maybe if you said, I can afford a house, I can get a good paying job, I can move up in a company, and I can have great wages, I can have all the benefits, and I can also pay off my debt, and it won't even make a big of an impact on me because I'm going to be earning so much money, something like that. It's just really a mind shift. And these people's ways of thinking is very, very negative. And I understand how frustrating it must be to have a big loan, but that's just the way it is.
Americans have been told that if they went to college and they did the right thing, took out these loans.
Well, live and learn. Live and learn. Then don't go back for your master's or your PhD then, but move on. You still took out the loan though.
And most of us are finding out it's not even remotely close to worth it. You're telling me these millionaires and billionaires were able to get these PPE loans forgiven that they took out during the pandemic for millions of dollars?
What?
But I have 30 grand in college debt left and I'm refusing to pay it back and now I'm the problem.
Well, yeah, you are the one who is refusing it, so you quite literally are the problem. I think he knows that, though, because he said it.
I need someone to tell me more about this income-driven repayment plan being suspended on May 5th. Because whoever is making these decisions clearly does not care about American people or citizens at all. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have to repay our loans as students who took out the loans. Yes, we took out the loans. We should repay them monetarily, by service, some way. What people are complaining about is the inequity in banks being bailed out, but not citizens.
The inequity in banks being bailed out, but not citizens.
The inequity of the fact that, how about I overpaid my loans and I'm still waiting for a refund that they gave me documentation that they owe me of 3 years later. The inequity of people trying to pay off their loans and trying to set up a plan, but not being able to get through with a phone call or an email indefinitely. The inequity of only taking out $20,000 in loans, but actually owing $60,000. So if people on an income-driven repayment plan, which is supposed to help alleviate the cost so that you can actually still live, buy groceries, pay your rent, but people are going into default because even that's too much in this economy, and now you're taking that away, which increases the price owed from like $200 a month to some people $1,000 or $2,000 a month. $2,000 a month is a paycheck. It is an entire paycheck. For me, I know that it's more than a paycheck for a lot of people.
I hear so many excuses. Imagine if the tone of these videos was just a little bit different, and instead of blaming all of these outside sources, they recognize that, okay, this is the situation I am in, no matter how I got here, whether it's because of my employer, pressure from my parents, or pressure from the school, whatever it may be, this is the position that I am in, and right now, we all, you and me, we have the choice to do something to improve our lives or make our lives worse. And that choice is ours. That is nobody else's choice. Nobody else is going to do it for you. So to make your life worse, you can continue to complain. You can say, I'm not going to pay back my loan. And then you can get more penalties, get yourself in a worse financial situation. Or you can say, okay, these were the cards I was dealt somehow. But yet the truth is that we are the ones who put ourselves wherever we are in life. And so we can look at our pattern behaviors and see things that need to change so we don't continue to do the same things. But we say, okay, here is where I am. Let me not make these same mistakes again, but let me come up with a plan to get to where I want to go, whether that's financial freedom. So if I have $2,000 to pay for my loan every month, I'm going to need to make $4,000 or whatever. How can I do that? And start looking for opportunities and ways to do that. Instead of just complaining about everything, look for the solution. But again, something I repeat is that these people, they don't want solutions. They just simply want to complain about it. So yes, I can agree that life is not easy, but when we are hard on ourselves, life is going to be a lot easier on us. And it is good that Trump is putting his foot down and saying, you know, if you took out a loan, you have to repay it. It is what's best for them, and it's what's best for our nation. Please make sure that you are subscribed. I hope you guys have the very best day of your life, and I will see you next time. Bye.